talking. Loads to discuss this month. It's absolutely crazy. But before we get into all of that shenanigans and whatnot, Exodus, how you doing? Oh, you're muted
I'm
again,
muted.
Exodus.
Yep, I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Yeah. There was a bit of a confusion with the time today. In England, we've done some daylight saving, which always confuses me whether you're going backwards or forwards. But we're here. We're at the new time of 3 p.m. So hopefully you guys will catch it. Today we're only streaming on YouTube, but I will upload this complete stream to Twitter or X shortly after the show finishes. So you'll get it there as well, and we'll see how that works out. But there's been an absolute ton of stuff happening in the crypto world, and I like to call it shenanigans because there's no other thing for it really. I mean, what happened late this month is there was an outage with the AWS data centers, and it was out for about 4 hours, I think, maybe a bit longer in some parts. But what it did is, as we were using all these platforms, it started to highlight actually how many crypto or supposed Web3 products, and I love those quotes, Web3 products were using AWS as their main infrastructure. And we've got into loads of discussions. And while I'm not against using AWS, and I'm not against using these cloud servers, I think when it highlights that 100% of your service is in a data center, it can only be worrying for decentralization. You really, if it's 20 or 30%, you can kind of forgive that. But when it starts to get above 50%, you start to think, well, you know what, the whole idea of crypto, as I came here for, and I'm sure Exodus is the same, is that decentralized nature, that idea that nobody's spying on the nodes, nobody's controlling a large majority of the nodes from a data center, and kind of all the other stuff that goes on. I mean, before we get into that, and I'll show a tweet of all the kind of outages that we've had. But before we get into that, what's your view on that, Exodus? What did you think of that when it all went off?
I mean, yeah, it's not real decentralization. It's in Decred we have a peer-to-peer network of nodes that are relaying this information around. We're not relying on a single service or a single provider. It's a worldwide network, and that's how it is for many of the cryptocurrencies. And it's a real tragedy to think so many people are relying on the system and not knowing any better. And after I saw that, I really was like, we should get our node count up. If anything, we should strengthen our decentralized network. So yeah.
And I think, I mean, you did a fantastic post, and I've put this as number 3 in our little list of things to do, but we'll get onto that. About, Jay-Z said, look how easy it is to run a node. He's done a little tutorial, and Exodus has got one running, and he was saying that it's $18 a year. Now, my estimates from running a node at home, it was something like $30 a month. So I was miles off. $18 a year is absolutely fantastic. But before we get on to kind of running a node and kind of the reasons why we should be running a node, let's just have a look at this now. Here we go. Let me just get this. There we go. So here's a little Grok display, and I said to Grok, hey, go and find me all of the products that are kind of have gone off or using AWS, and find out how much of their infrastructure is actually using AWS. Now, this isn't other cloud services. This is just AWS, which, I mean, I was absolutely astounded because I logged into Coinbase while it was happening. I was logged in, and it was like, Coinbase is down. You can't do exchanges. You can't buy or sell. And it was like, what? How decentralized is this? If one server goes down or an infrastructure goes down and Coinbase is out, it's out for the count. So I got Grok to do this little search, and I quite like using Grok for these sorts of things, little bits of research. Because on my own, I don't know about you, Exodus, but I'd never be able to find this information. So it found it, and it said there was an outage on Coinbase with 100% outage. So basically, their whole infrastructure is running AWS. I mean, what do you think about that? The biggest player in the crypto space is running AWS. What do you think? Is that a norm, or is that kind of unexpected for you?
I mean, this is what they use, I guess. It's a centralized exchange. Centralized exchanges are going to do what they're going to do, but yeah, it's unbelievable that this all went down like this. And the scarier thing is people aren't going to care. Very few people are going to question this. Very few people are going to say, hey, this isn't right, something's wrong. They're just going to think, oh, it was down because it's down. So yeah, Just
And then that,
unbelievable.
yeah.
Especially Coinbase. You think they're so big they would have some sort of backup for this. It's really unbelievable.
Well, I was talking to my son who's at university now, and his university platforms, they're all using the Microsoft stuff. So they're using OneDrive and they're using Teams and all the various apps. And he was saying that his apps were down at exactly the same time. Now, I always understood they had their Azure platform, which was an independent server. So it started to suggest to me also, hey, I wonder if those servers, they're all kind of in the same infrastructure, which gets absolutely crazy at that point. I mean, I didn't see any Google stuff go down, so that seemed okay. But I mean, just listing a few of the ones here, you'll notice that Coinbase, Robinhood had 100% of their nodes or their infrastructure on AWS. Then you've got crypto.com, which was between 40 and 60%. Then it gets a little bit better, but even MEXC, which is this is the kind of level that I would expect a decentralized service to have on a cloud platform. 5% seems kind of reasonable to me, I think. But looking for Uniswap, one of the big players in the decentralized or the DEX field, Uniswap, Uniswap, everyone's promoting like crazy, a 50% plus on AWS. I mean, does that come as a surprise to you, Exodus, that one of the biggest DEXs, the Ethereum DEXs, has got 50% plus?
Not at all.
It's just, yeah,
And
which
and
is,
the
we're not
Ethereum
surprised.
node is so difficult. I don't know if you still have that chart of comparing the different node sizes for the different protocols, but for Solana and Ethereum, the node size is absolutely massive. It's over a terabyte. And then you look at something like Decred, it's about 17 gigabytes. It's very easy to run. And that's why the VPS fee is so low for running a Decred node. It's $20 a year because you don't need much hard drive space. You need, I would say at least 40 gigabytes, which nowadays VPSs are getting, quite cheap because of the, storage space. SSDs are getting cheaper, RAM is getting cheaper. So yeah, I have a VPS running a Decred full node, $18 a year or 18 or $19 a year, and it's getting inbound peers. It's on the node mapper, which is what we want to see, and it's helping relay things around the network. But yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I
there's
think I
not
might,
many.
let's see.
Sorry, Exodus.
It's gonna pull up that image of comparing some of the
Yeah,
different. If I
yeah,
can
do it.
find
If you
it.
want to screen share, just do it, man. I'll pull mine down
Yeah,
and we'll pull it up. But
let me find it.
there's not many blockchains that can run on 2 megabytes of RAM. Let's face it. Sorry, 2 gigabytes of RAM. You know, most of it. What? Last time I checked Solana, it was something like a minimum of 500 gigabytes of RAM. It's like, yeah, it's absolutely crazy. But this is the next big push. And I've talked about a liquidity push. Once we get to the next stage of Bison Wallet, I do want to do a massive liquidity push and start getting that going. And we're going to have, hopefully, in the next few weeks, we're going to have some of the DCR Dex guys or the Bison Wallet guys on the show, and we're going to kind of talk about how we can coordinate a massive liquidity effort, start making our pairs, not empty, so we get full order books and we get that spread down, and that's one of our biggest pushes. But also, we have to do a node push. At the moment, there's something like an average of 100 to 150 nodes on the Decred network. When I joined, there was about 300, so it has kind of reduced. So we definitely need to start kind of thinking about ways of getting our node count up and getting people involved. And this is the next thing for us, because the network is basically feature complete. Yes, there's still tinkering going on. There's still optimizations going on. There's still efficiency improvements going on, which I love. Very few networks are actually looking at making their blockchain more efficient. Nobody is doing that. Decred is literally the only one that's kind of chucking away all of the bugs that Bitcoin introduced and all of the absolute rubbish that Bitcoin introduced, and kind of making it more efficient. So I mean, that's an absolutely great thing. But the next push is all of our infrastructure now needs to start being used. It's Bison Relay, Bison Wallet, and getting more nodes. And once we do that, we are going to be a massively competitive player. Now, Exodus has got his data ready, so let me just remove my stuff. Let me put Exodus on the stage. Talk us through it, Exodus.
Yay. So yeah, this is just a little comparison chart I created. and it's basically Decred's only a Decred full node is only about 15.7 gigabytes. And then, you go to Litecoin, Monero, Zcash, they're in the 200s. One of the reasons Zcash is so large is they got hit by some sort of attack where the attacker was able to fill up their blocks and bloated the living heck out of their blockchain, which is really bad.
But you
And
you
then
know what it
big,
was though,
big,
don't you, Exodus? You know what that attack
what
was?
what
What
was
they
it?
did, what Zcash did is they made it cheaper to do, like ridiculously cheaper to do shielded transactions. So literally somebody literally bombarded their shielded transactions, and that was literally all it was, that caused all of the issues.
But yeah, they now have to deal with this permanently enlarged blockchain, and because of their privacy features, it's very difficult for them to prune if they can prune it at all. And that's another thing with Decred is you can actually prune this to be smaller, and that's what they're going to do at some point. So, you compare this to Bitcoin. I mean, you're going to have a hard time running this on a VPS. You'd really need more of like a server to do 700, 800 gigabytes of space is very expensive. Uh, and Decred's very small, 15.7. So, yeah,
I mean,
you can
it's
this so I've got another VPS here. This is $30 a year, 50 gigs hard drive space, 3.5 RAM, and you can, different locations. So you can spin this up and run a Decred node very quickly and with just one single command. And this is something we want to see more people doing because it helps the decentralization of the network, and it's a small contribution to helping. Uh, just because there's power in numbers, and every single node running is another, uh, it adds to the robustness of the network basically.
you know
And
what, Exodus?
yeah,
Sorry, there's a bit of a lag between us, so hopefully I don't keep interrupting you. But you know what? Is that something we could do? Is that something we could say with maybe the Vanguard proposal? Look, we've got all these Vanguard people. If you want to run a node, we can incentivize you to do it. Because I'm sure a lot of people would love to run a node. And to incentivize to, most people will be like, oh, I'm not spending my own money on that or whatever. But I mean, they should because you're physically making the network better. But maybe that's something we could consider just to get the ball rolling, incentivize people for maybe a few months to have a go and get it started and actually talk about their experiences as well. Because that's something a lot of people don't do is once they've got a node running, it's there, it's in the background. And a lot of people, including myself, go, oh my God, it must be so difficult. And it's not until you see someone like Exodus or Jay-Z say, look, this is my node, boom. And I set it up in 5 minutes. You go, oh, oh.
yeah. Let me show you what that looks like really quick. If I can change my screen, do share screen. And I guess I don't think I can share my terminal. So give me a second.
And why Exodus just sorting out them because it takes a little bit of time to switch screens and whatnot. I was also thinking about maybe getting Dave C on to talk about the pruning side of things as well, since Exodus just brought that up, because he had a lovely discussion about this on what pruning looks like on Bitcoin and what pruning would look like on Decred and basically the pruning on Monero and how inefficient it is. And things like that. And it would be a really interesting discussion to understand why we put so much onus on actually making everything in our tech stack so that it doesn't affect our pruning, including our mixing, our privacy mixing. So you can actually mix as much as you want. You can have 100% of the supply mix, but it wouldn't affect the pruning, which to my knowledge, that's not something that's available on pretty much any other blockchain. So that's pretty cool. Are you ready, Exodus? You want me
Give
to
me a
bring it up?
moment.
Okay, I'll leave off screen until you tell me you're ready. I don't want to expose anything that you don't want people to see.
Okay, I'm ready.
You ready? Okay, I'm going to put it on the screen now. Then you happy?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. So this is my terminal with I'm connected to my VPS, and all I have to do is type DCR because I have it set like that, but it will tell me everything my Decred full node is doing. It's going to show my new valid peers, the new blocks coming in. So I'm connected to a seeder. I'm connected to another node. This node is actually running version 2.0.1, which is a little old. But basically, I'm recording every single transaction, every single ticket that's going on here. And so we basically just want more people to be running these, and it's a nice contribution to the network. And I can also run some other commands like I think it's get
You'll have to
peer
talk us through it.
info.
I don't think it's very I don't think what you're typing out is very visible.
But basically, I can go in and yeah, I don't know if this is showing it too well, but you can show every single peer you're connected to. There's a lot of cool things you can do with your node. Um, but basically, I'm adding to the network here, and my node's going to be on that node mapper.
So
So
you've
yeah,
basically got this as a VPS. So it's running in a data center somewhere. It's costing you £18 a year. You're obviously adding to the security of Decode. And once it's set up, then what's this you've got here? Is this a terminal? Is it? I'm not used to seeing it like this. So is it a
yeah.
web terminal, or is this
No,
an app
it's
you've
it's
got
a
going?
it's a program that I use to SSH into the VPS to give it commands, and this is how if you're gonna be running a node, you want to download one of these. I'm using something called Tabby, but basically you log into your VPS, and that's how you're going to start your node is via that. If you've been watching Twitter, Decred Jesus JZ created this one-line command that all you do is run that command, and it will download and sync a node, and you're basically just good to go. And what I'm doing is I already have a node downloaded and synced, and I can look at what the node is doing. So I don't know if you can see this, but it's saying new block,
Yeah.
new valid peer. And one of the reasons you want to run this on a VPS rather than a home setup is the VPS already has its ports open. It's very important if you want to run a Decred full node and have it be on the network, your port 9108 has to be open. Another reason is the VPSs, are being run in a professional environment where there's basically 99.9% uptime, whereas if you run it at home, maybe you have a power outage, maybe your internet goes down for a few minutes. Basically the uptime is not going to be as good. So that's why I recommend a VPS. Another thing really important is if you run a node, it takes 10 days for the node to be accepted and get inbound transactions. So if you run one of these and it's immediately not getting inbound transactions, that's why. And that's to prevent poisoning attacks. So they deliberately have it set like that. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Oh, that's interesting. So, I mean, here's the big question I'm sure everyone's asking. How long did it take for your node to sync?
I think it took around 8 hours. And one of the reasons for that is this is not a fast VPS. This is a cheap $18 a year. It has like maybe 2 cores. It has 2 gigabytes of RAM. This was not the fastest setup, but it took around 8 hours, I would say. I mean, I didn't specifically watch it closely. But if you're doing it on a better VPS, a better setup, it's about 3 or 4 hours, I would say.
And
Just got another
that's the point, isn't
new
it?
peer.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
point, isn't it? Is you don't have to, because on a VPS, once you've got it rolling, you can just put it to one side, it's off, and you're done. I think that's absolutely amazing, and there really is very little reason for people not to be doing that. I mean, I do like the idea of run them at home, but it scares me, and probably scares a lot of other people, about opening network ports when you don't really know what you're doing. And I make no bones about it that I've never been a system admin. So that side of computing really does kind of freak me out a little bit, because obviously if you're at home, you've got all your other stuff going on, all your other internet activities, and you do one thing to mess it up, and all of a sudden you've got the world in your house, if you like. So I do like the idea of this VPS, and I would love to see, and this is maybe what we should be saying to the Vanguard guys, our evangelists, the Vanguard evangelists, is set up a VPN and let's show some demos. Show yourself doing it, so we can show the world that you can do this, and let's incentivize those people. If you want to do those tutorials, talk to Exodus, and let's get you incentivized for showing people how to do it, and teaching the world, because that stuff's important, and there's no ifs or buts. Decode needs it. Decode needs to get to 200-300 nodes again and start counting, so we've got them all over. Before this show started, we were talking about the Decode Africa proposal. One thing that I was saying, myself and Exodus don't particularly agree on this, and it'd be interesting to hear Exodus's point on this, but I was saying, you know what, if you look at the node map, we've got nodes pretty much all over, but Africa the Decode Africa proposal was like, we're going to put together a community, but then the whole of Africa had no nodes. And I thought this was really interesting about how the world infrastructure works. Because, I mean, I'll let Exitus say the next bit, but he was basically saying a lot of other networks are the same.
Yeah, could you go ahead and share my screen again? Yeah, so this is the node mapper, and this is showing all the public nodes. So we have 106 in 21 different countries. And yeah, we want to get this up. We want it to have it as in many countries as possible, on as many different networks as possible, because what if one network has issues? And this does a really good job of displaying all that information, and you can go in and see all the different user agents. And if you're paying attention, there's a Decred 2.1.0, the pre-release version. So we are going to have a new version of DCRD coming at some point. And with that, a new consensus change, because they're bumping it up to 2.1. And I believe that consensus change has to do with the treasury and the way the treasury T-spends operate, because they're getting close to their limit. So this isn't going to be a major change. It's going to be a minor change, but it still needs to go through the consensus change process because you're changing internal rules. So, right.
Are they changing?
What?
Sorry, just carry on.
I was going to talk about the Africa, but what were you going to say about the T-spend?
I had no idea that was happening. So are they changing the 150% rule, or is it something else?
I'm not exactly sure. I just know Dave said there is going to be a consensus change regarding the treasury and kind of dealing with the limit. And if that's what the problem is, I guess that's what they're going to change. But
that's
yeah,
amazing, actually.
The node I'm running is this one. So I'm over here.
There it
I'm
is.
over in New York, and they can see it right on the mapper. I can click it. So yeah, if you feel that this is, I'm obviously running Decred version 2.0.6. If you want to be on this mapper and be part of Decred, you should run a node. But yeah, as far as Africa goes, I looked at, Monero and Bitcoin, and there's almost none being run in Africa. It largely has to do with almost all of the VPS providers are in Europe or America. There's very few in South America, and then there's actually a good number in Asia as well. But there's not many being run in certain parts of the world. But the goal is to spin them up in as many parts as we can. I was looking, there were some in Russia that weren't too bad. There were some in, we don't have like Romania. Surprised we don't have Sweden or Finland.
I was noticing we've got a testnet node in India, which I thought was really cool. And that's really the secret, is to have them in as many countries as possible. And maybe that is the one thing. If all of the other African communities are struggling to get nodes in their region, maybe that could be an area that Decred really kind of bombards and says, look, we can get nodes here, and that'd be absolutely amazing. And I would be well up for seeing, a spread of them around, even if we just have to kind of give a bit of an incentive to kind of make that happen, because I think that the geographical overview of nodes has to be wider for sure. But this isn't too bad. Like I say, for a project of Decred size, I mean, I don't think this is too bad. When I joined Decred, and we had it was roughly about 300, 250, 300. I mean, I was gobsmacked, because that's the other thing you've got to know, is these are all peer nodes. These are all live nodes. So some of the maps you see, like on Digibyte, they've got like 5,000 nodes, but they're actually, when they see a node for the first time, they record it forever. So a lot of those nodes might not be active. Yeah. So that's a lot of trickery being played in some of these communities as well. Yeah, they see a node and that's it. It's recorded.
This system's very strict. Like your node will I think the second a node goes offline with this, it is just gone. If the node mapper can't reach it, it takes it off. And like I said, it has to be online for 10 days. And that's why I was saying the VPS is going to be better for this, because you don't know if your home internet might go off for a few minutes or whatever, and that happens. So I think it's good they have that kind of strict rules for this. But yeah, I mean, maybe Africa has problems with bandwidth or power, or they don't have VPS hosting in certain regions. So yeah, I mean, I looked into some nodes in South America, and they're very expensive. The VPS providers, there's no $18 a year VPS in South America. It's only in America or Europe.
You know, the one
So
thing
yeah,
that kind of gets me about this, because if you read through the proposal, one thing that Philemon says is that Nigeria specifically is a tech hub. Now, you can't call yourself a tech hub if you don't have the bandwidth to run infrastructure, as far as I'm concerned. And that's one of my biggest things as well. It's like, you know what? I want to see Africa being a tech hub, especially Nigeria. And I know a lot of people talk about that. But you know what? You do have to prove you can do it. You know, you have to prove that the things that you're saying are true. So that was another kind of nitpick that I had. But in all honesty, this is great stuff, and I love what you're doing. I'd love to see more people getting involved in this, because heaven knows, if you live in one of these regions that has nothing there, we need you. That's no ifs or buts. We need nodes in your area. So yeah, get in
yeah,
touch. Let's get this running. You had another demo. Now, are we finished with the node stuff? Are you happy with that?
yeah. I was just
Oh,
gonna say Caramble's building out a node dashboard, which might make running a node even more intriguing. And that dashboard's gonna display a lot of different information. He has a proposal for that ongoing right now, and I think that's more. So the goal with that is to get it on Umbrel and Start9 and all these kind of home hosting solutions. And hey, if you want to run a node from home, you can do that. I'm just saying the VPS is going to be better. But if you want to run it from an Umbrel, of course you can. You just have to make sure port 9108 is open. And if anyone has any questions or wants to start this and they're confused, you can reach out to me. It's actually very easy to run one. Pub Pete ran a node the other day, and he doesn't have any experience with this stuff. And like you can just ask AI. You can ask AI to help you. And it like when I first did this, I used Jay-Z script, but it downloaded the old node. And I asked Claude, I was like, how can I get the latest Decred version? And it walked me through everything, and it made sure it was running perfectly. Since then, Jay-Z has upgraded his script, so it has the latest stuff. But if you have any questions, ask me, or you can ask AI. It knows it pretty well. Uh,
yeah, I mean, ultimately, we need both. We need the VPS, but we also need home servers. And I think when we get that combination, it's just going to be awesome. And that's the big push. So let's make that happen. But Exus has some fantastic kind of well, it's all kind of, it's not happening yet, but the discussions that Exus has been having this month are great. And I'm not going to take that away from you. I'm going to let you tell us about that, Exus.
yeah, so we're looking at near intents, and if you haven't used this, it's basically like a uh, super easy way of doing cross-chain swaps. So Decred isn't supported, but we're gonna test Zcash here. I have a little bit of USDC. I have to sign in. And what's interesting is like it supports everything. It supports almost every wallet you can imagine with this thing called Wallet Connect. But it's also on mobile, and the mobile works really good. I'm on Brave here. Hopefully this doesn't show my password. Let
Yeah.
me
Do you want
see.
to turn it off first, or just
Yeah,
in case?
I'll turn it off really quick.
Yeah, just in case
I
you don't
don't
want to be
think
giving
it
away
would,
that
but
stuff.
you never
But
know.
I mean, Exus is having some conversations with the near team about getting Decred on that. Now, this is what's happening behind the scenes. There's always conversations happening, and I mean, Exus is kind of front running all of this stuff, and it's great. And anything we can get on that kind of makes us more prominent and makes that first stage, that kind of onboarding stage, easier for anyone is going to be so crucial. Getting from fiat to Decred generally is a 2 to 3 step kind of thing at the moment. Whereas what we really want to do is make that one step, go straight to Decred. And if people like Coinbase are not going to have us, these are the next big things. So yeah, are you all set, Exus? Are you good to show it again?
Let's see where. Give
Was it going to
me.
expose your password?
I'm not sure. Let me. Now it's not. Now what's it called? StreamYard isn't allowing me to pick the right window. I don't know why.
Uh,
Let's see.
Streamlab playing up.
Chrome tab.
The yeah, so no, I haven't used the near decks yet. The one that Exus was showing me isn't available in the App Store in England, which is a bit of a shame. But hopefully, you know, it will come.
I'll just have
But
to share my entire
it's
screen.
yeah, but it's
Okay.
available to US customers, which generally does tend to be the bigger audience. Now, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's add stage.
Okay, ready?
Yep. So we're
All right,
going
so I have a
from
very
USDC.
very small amount of USDC I deposited on Polygon, and then I'm going to swap for a little bit of Zcash. And all I do is press swap, and I sign it. It's going to process, and then it's done. So it's done that quickly, which is crazy. And let's see. Now I have my 50 cents in Zcash, and I can go to withdraw. And I am going to enter. I have to turn this screen share off again. I don't want to share my share my stuff. Oh, maybe okay. Does that work? Has my wallet in there? No. Let's see. Okay. Hope I have enough Zcash. Minimum withdraw is. I think I have the minimum. Let's do max. Okay, so I'm going to withdraw Zcash. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so I'm going to withdraw Zcash on mainnet. Right? So this is important. I'm not doing some, bridged version of Zcash. I'm doing layer 1 Zcash. And just like that, I was able to swap into Zcash using Polygon on USDC, and I was able to withdraw it to a Zcash wallet on mainnet. So basically, you're getting a crazy level of interoperability with this. And I am in contact with this team and basically saying, hey, please add Decred. And so we're having discussions, and we'll see where it goes. But I'm really hoping we can get added to this. The mobile wallet's really good, and that you can do it from desktop, which is cool. So yeah, it's just a nice system.
So,
I imagine I
mean,
have to wait for this.
behind the scenes, what just happened there? So the trade was done in near, is that right? So you've got a wallet of Polygon wallet for USDC and a Zcash wallet on near, is that correct?
Yeah, basically. But it's
Yeah.
like I'm using I use Brave Wallet, but you can use kind of any wallet you want. You can connect to Trezor.
Oh, so
Uh,
you don't have to have a wallet on near. You can literally move it between your own wallets. Is that right? So if you've got
yes.
a
So
treasure,
let me
yeah.
let me
Okay,
log
cool.
out. Do you see the right hand side here?
Got it. Yeah.
So you can pick any of these wallets, but you can also go to Wallet Connect
So
and you can
the
view.
only
So they
point,
have 460 different wallets. So they even have Cake Wallet.
wicked. So
Yeah.
the only time that they are custodian your wallet, because the end part there made me think that they were custodian it, they were taking control of it. But in actual
They
fact, the only time that happens is when the swap happens. Is that right? So the actual wallet is wallet to wallet.
Yeah, I think so. But they support a lot of they support Trezor Wallet. They support pretty much everything, really. So you can
That's
connect
really
really
cool.
any wallet you want and kind of go in and do these swaps. And
So in real terms, then, is there any reason why you couldn't connect Bison Wallet Polygon and Bison Wallet Decred? Could it happen like that? So you're literally, rather than using obviously DCR Dex exchanging Bison Wallet, you can literally use a secondary service.
yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. They support basically every wallet out there. So why not? Why not have
Yeah,
Decred?
you know,
So
because ultimately a lot of people like, including myself, I love the simple swap. So if I just want to get into a project really quick, I did a simple swap with Pharaoh a few months back, and I like that. It's just, oh, I've got this, I want this, click button, and if it just makes sense. I'm glad you're having that conversation.
and
How's it going with that?
sorry, I was looking at. I did receive the Zcash in my Trezor wallet just now. So I sent it from near, and it received layer 1 Zcash. But the point here is like the swaps are instant, and then you can instantaneously withdraw to your native, your layer 1 wallet, which I thought was incredible. And if you do it on mobile, you can send over USDC on Polygon and it converts it to the near network automatically to where you can go and do swaps. So it's great. But sorry, what was that question you just asked?
You just gave me a whole bunch of other questions, but I'm not going to go into that because it's too confusing. But
You said something
it
about
was
Firo?
basically no. How's the conversation going with the near protocol guys?
Well, basically, they asked us to fill out a questionnaire. We filled it out. We were introduced to them by this one guy who used to work for Maya, and he likes Decred. So nothing much. They said there are liquidity requirements. You do have to give them some liquidity funds, but it was nothing crazy. Maybe like $10,000. So we're still talking, and they have Bitcoin integrated, and Decred is so similar to Bitcoin that it's not going to be very difficult. And like we were saying, the node is very easy to run. So if they want to run a Decred node to get it all set up, it's not going to be a blocker. But I'm going to ping them again tomorrow. I did also apply to Coinbase again. Applied to
Good luck.
Coinbase. And
Now,
they sent like this email. It was an automated email, but it said like, "Hey, we're going to roll out the blue carpet for you, and we look forward to working with you." So we'll see. I mean, it was the first time I've ever gotten an email like that from them because I have applied several times. Every time they update their listing thing, I apply. And of course, they always want to know KYC of everyone, which we can't really provide. But this time, I actually got another email, so my hopes are a little bit higher this time. So maybe they're serious. And hey, Decred's at number 150 or so in the coin market cap rankings. If we can push into the top 100, I think these listings can be very real. I think the
you
game can
know,
change very fast. I mean, if you look at what happened to Zcash recently, they kind of went from like not being super popular, being kind of similar, $16-20 range, similar to Decred. Now they're kind of the talk of the town, and that's all it takes. That's all it takes is a bit of a pump, and suddenly everyone wants you.
oh god, yeah. I mean, and that's the beauty also of being a 21 million max supply is actual facts. The longer you survive, the longer you build for, the longer you get better, the chances only increase. Now, I was going to say, I was on Coinbase Wallet the other day, which I believe is different to the Coinbase main stage or whatever. And they had Firo on it, which I was surprised about. So I thought to myself, well, if Firo is on Coinbase Wallet, then surely that should be something Decred could be on. And it's not the same platform. I think it's meant to be their decentralized wallet or something like that. But they do have an exchange on there and things like that, I think. So that could be an interesting way forward also.
Yeah, I would. I mean, my philosophy is Decred should be in as many places as possible. I think we shouldn't put all of our eggs into one basket with Bison Wallet. Bison Wallet does what it does. It's a great atomic swap exchange, but it's not the end of all things. And just like I showed here, there's protocols doing instant swaps. There's no waiting 20, 30 minutes. There's no having a system with a perfect uptime to do the swaps. There's alternatives, and I think we should pursue them, even if they're slightly less secure than Bison Wallet. They're still worth looking into.
I mean, I think so. Just to be part of the ecosystem, and for us, the bigger part of the battle is those on and off ramps. I mean, oops, why is that not showing? Okay, the bigger part of the battle for us is the on and off ramp. So if they have that, I mean, it's brilliant, isn't it? And I mean, the fact that Cake Wallet is part of the near system also suggests that we should. Oh, I've gone red faced. It's heating up in here. Suggests that it probably wouldn't be that big a deal. Now, this before we move on to any other subjects, this is the post from Jay-Z about how easy it is to install a node. So I just wanted to put that on there just so you guys could see. Presuming you are done with the near stuff and the node stuff, the next thing on my list was all about the latest proposals. So we've had a whole bunch of proposals. This is the Crumbles proposal about getting a node monitor, which is going to be for Umbrel and Start 6 or Start 9, and a bunch of other home server providers, which would be great. There was something else I was going to say about. I've lost my train of thought, Exodus. But there were a few other proposals this week as well. We had the Africa community proposal, which I was kind of disappointed about this. I don't know how you feel about this, Exodus, but it really disappoints me when a proposal doesn't meet quorum. And I think even if it's not going to pass, I think it's a bit of a sad state of affairs if we can't even meet quorum. It shows a lack of kind of getting involved, which what I think. I mean, what was your thoughts on the Decode Africa proposal and it not reaching quorum?
Yeah, I don't know why it wouldn't reach quorum. Um, it's really tough to say. I mean, I think they were doing so. I know Philemon's been very active in some of the events in Africa. Maybe, I don't know, maybe people just weren't convinced. Some of the people named in the proposal I've never heard of, which I think is strange, because usually the general rule is the people who are going to be contractors need to be part of the community first and kind of show who they are. And some of the names just I'd never heard of them, so maybe that's why people voted against it. People are just so sick of marketing and marketing proposals. I mean, it's so difficult to see growth. And one thing I found odd was that no one from Africa commented on the proposal. So if you've been building out this community, you'd think there'd be a few comments from people kind of saying, "Yeah, we need this," but there wasn't one. So that was,
I
I mean,
think
for me personally, that was a bit of a red flag.
I think I would love to see these communities built, but we've been hit by it so many times, and generally some of the posts that I've seen Film on his team do have actually been generally okay. I mean, a lot of it's AI generated, and I think there's a little bit of controversy around that, but generally, it hit the point, and yeah. I mean, my biggest thing is I've not seen in pretty much all the time I've been here the lack of apathy to get it over the line. Even if it's 99% no's, getting that quorum for somebody that's taken the time to put a proposal together, that is quite annoying, and I hate that because it shows something more about the community, and there's no ifs or buts. The comments have kind of gone down, and so there is that kind of factor. And I deliberately I haven't been commenting on as many because I kind of just I don't know. I kind of want to see other people get involved in this stuff, and I already think you and I already do quite a bit to kind of show our support for things, and sometimes that might be even misconstrued as giving support for the proposal, but certainly, yeah, I don't think we should be not getting it past quorum really. But the other two that were approved were the two DEX proposals. Like once again, we're hoping to have a couple of members from the DEX team on, hopefully in the next few weeks, which will be good. But these had fairly decent turnouts. What's that? 20,000, 21,000, yeah, about 20,000 votes each, which is absolutely brilliant. Exactly what you want to see. Generally, and I left a comment on the main proposal, but generally my biggest concern with what's happening with DEX is that we do need to start treating it as if it is an exchange, a platform. The idea that we spent a lot of time, 6-7 years, on building this, and it's at a really good stage. The software generally works. And I think to myself, we have to start treating it as an exchange. We have to make sure that the order books are never empty. We have to make sure that the spreads are pretty tight. And even if that's 2-3%, at this point, I'm not too worried about. But when, we put all this effort into it, that's the final hurdle. And I think that's where we need to get now. Like we said before with the nodes, we have to get that liquidity. I mean, but generally it looks fine. The two big hurdles are going to be the mesh networks, going to be Monero. They look like they're still a little way out, but hopefully we're going to see some really big stuff coming any day now. I mean, I don't know about you, Exus, but I've seen a whole load of development stuff coming through in the chat. So, what are your thoughts there? Any thoughts other than that?
Yeah, I mean, I would really like to see, this is something we've talked about, is just a focus on liquidity and having full order books. I do have an Umbrel and I do have Bison Wallet on the Umbrel, and I did try to run a market maker, just a small one to test it. And at one point, my software, there's some sort of weird bug in Bison wallet currently with the SPV wallet where it'll kick you off for some reason. And my wallet got kicked off or something. And the problem there is when it does that, it actually, if you're running a market maker, because of the reputation system, it'll actually completely kick you off the DEX. So I'm a little bit hesitant to recommend people to run market makers because it sent my reputation score to like 0, and I had to get a code uh, or I had to pay the bond fee, or I could get a code to start my account up. But that was really demoralizing for me. But so I believe that's a bug that's been fixed. It's just waiting for a new release to be cut. But yeah, I think having some incentives for people to make markets and have liquidity is really needed for the USDC and USDT pairs. And maybe as part of the Vanguard proposal, we will be running market makers and having funds for that. But we have to wait for them to release that. I know in the proposal they said there's going to be a way to track to see if the funds are being used for market makers or something to that extent. So if that's done, I would really like to see that. But yeah, as far as the DEX goes, I'm a little bit concerned on how long the mesh is going to take. From what I understand, that is not close, and I'm talking like maybe years away. And you look at some of these other things, like I just showed the near intense thing. It's like I would rather get on there first, and as many protocols like that before kind of trying to chase a mesh network that's going to take years. Even though the mesh network sounds really cool, it's about priorities. It's like, hey, maybe there's an altcoin season coming really soon. You know, can we afford to wait until the next bull run, 6 years from now for the mesh to matter? Another thing I was concerned about, and I left a comment on Politea, which I would really like to see more people do, is commenting their feelings on these things. I think people have gotten quite quiet lately, but I basically was like, if this doesn't report the volume, that is, in my opinion at least, that is not good. I think volume is a critical thing for any exchange to be reporting. People want to know if it's used. I think the deck should be on every single data aggregator for exchanges. I mean, even TradingView is adding dexes in their the trading history. So I think that would just not be a good look, even if it's more private. I mean, you have to put mindshare and network effect ahead of privacy at this point. And then the
I
Monero
think
work, hey, Monero is being added to Thorchain. I'm under the impression that I don't know if adding Monero to DCR Dex is going to help very much. I mean, they're already on Basic Swap. They're already on this other one called EigenWallet. You can do Monero and Decred atomic swaps on Basic Swap already. So I don't know how much that's going to help, and it seems like a huge undertaking for our few developers in Treasury. I mean, I hope it works out really well, but that's just kind of my opinion on it.
and I put in my comment, and if anyone wants to read my comment on the proposal, go ahead. It's on proposals.decred.org, and it's the main DEX proposal. But I said the same. I think in future, I don't want coin listings bundled in with the main development proposal. I think a lot of people, including myself, don't really want to see treasury funds being spent on building wallets that may or may not help Decred. I mean, as at this particular moment, there's really only three. There's only really three things that are going to help Decred. That's USDT, USDC, and Bitcoin. I think those were absolutely necessary to kind of build. And then I think everything else should be, hey, do you want this? Here's a proposal. But even better than that would be to say, you know what, we're going to build this wallet, but we're going to ask that community to build it. We're gonna go off to this community, we're going to ask them, and we're going to go and build it that way. And I mean, the other thing is I don't know how hard it would be, and I'm talking off my hat here, but if Basic Swap has already got Monero wallet, I mean, a lot of that tech is what they're trying to achieve anyway. So then maybe there's some crossover there. And I know a while back the Basic Swap guys did say that they would help, and we know they're a supporter of Decred. So get those guys on board. They clearly seem to know what they're doing. The other thing, in terms of the mesh network, is I'm in full favor of the mesh network. I think it absolutely has to happen, but that doesn't mean everything else has to stop. You know, yes, there's going to be this massive change when it does happen, but we've got this exchange, we've got this platform, and it shouldn't be stagnant because we're waiting for the next big thing. It should be, well, actual fact, it works. You know, yes, we're waiting for this patch to happen, and frankly, yes, we do need to get better at patch releases. You know, the idea that something's broken that's stopping people from participating, you know, that should be a no-brainer. That needs to be out as quickly as possible. In any other business, in any other industry, in any other company, that would be number one priority. Let's make sure our target audience can use the platform, and our target audience for Bison Wallet is market makers are the biggest priority at this particular moment. So yes, I really want mesh network, but it doesn't mean everything else has to stop. We need to build our liquidity on those three platforms. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Bitcoin's DCR is phenomenal. They're doing practically $1 million worth of volume every single month for the past God knows how long, you know. But we need the same. We need the same for USDT, and we need the same for USDC, and that's when it's going to get really, really interesting. So that, yeah, those are my viewpoints. But if you want to read my comment, they are on Politaire, and I don't think just because we're waiting for this next big thing, that the product that we have right now should be stagnant. You know, we should get this patch release out as quickly as possible. We should talk to the DEX guys in our next live stream, and then we should start strategizing about how we're going to get those market makers onto the platform, because that's what's ultimately going to make it a successful product. You know, without full order books, without tight spreads, you know, at the moment, when people come on there, if I onboard a new person, if Exitus onboards a new person, the first thing they go is, but there's nothing happening, you know. And it doesn't, in terms of DCR DEX, it doesn't actually matter if orders are being filled as much, but it does matter that if someone wants to come on and try it on, that they can actually participate and they can do that. And as Exitus showed with his market maker, so I'm going on now, Exitus, but as Exitus showed with his market maker, he put $100 on USDC and Decred, and he filled the order books. You know, with $50 on either side, he filled the order books. And you know, for the time that it was up before the bug happened, you know, it did what it needed to do. If people come on, they could literally trade a few quid to see how it works. Exitus, sorry about that. any other points on that? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Eric Keith, we have a comment. He says, drop a link on how to run a node. I don't think I can drop a link right here.
2 seconds, I'll do it now.
But DM me on Twitter and I'll help you out. It's very easy. You just run a single command. If you go to dcr.pw, there's a installation command. So you first want to buy a VPS with at least 40 gigabytes of hard drive space. Ideally, you just buy it for a year at a time rather than month to month, and just run that command, and you should see your node on the Decred mapper in about 10 days. And it's a small way to help out the Decred network. It's a small contribution, but there's power in numbers. But if you need any help, just DM me on Twitter, and we can get that set up for you.
I just dropped the link, so hopefully he's got that as well. But yeah, great stuff. Okay. Great to see people are actually interested in this. Yeah, nice one for reaching out.
And of course, you can use your node if you're running like a command line wallet or something. You can use that node to do your transactions. I believe at some point you could point a Decrediton wallet at a node as well, but I don't know if that's available. I think you might have to do it in the config. So you can use the node to do transactions if you want to. You know, it's not just for show. You know, it's not just for, it's going to be on the node mapper relaying stuff. Another thing that the nodes do now as well is they help relay those mixing transactions for the privacy. So the more the better. So you're helping with the privacy, you're helping sync new wallets, you're helping with the decentralization.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe the mix, and Dave's you'll have to correct me on this, but I believe the mixing nodes are built into the actual peers that are mixing those. So yeah, which is phenomenal tech actually. What Dave what Dave C and the team have done there is absolutely amazing. And I absolutely love that. But yeah, I think that was pretty much everything I wanted to discuss. Are there any other points that you wanted to put forward, Exodus?
No, I think that's about everything. Um, but yeah, those are some things to consider: improving the nodes, improving the liquidity on the DEX.
Before
Yeah.
we, yeah, before we disappear, then I mean, I've been asked loads over the last few months. I've been participating in lots of Twitter Spaces and live streams for other projects, and this one here, this Dash Crypto Quorum um, live stream. It happens every Thursday at 6 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. UTC. And in actual fact, they're putting together some really nice discussions there, and they're welcoming in Decred at least once to twice a month now, which is great. And this one here that I've got on stage was the is default privacy necessary? And throughout the discussion, it went on for about 3 hours, but throughout the discussion, they started talking about all these different variants, and that, unfortunately, from a Decred's perspective, I was actually able to chip in and say, well, actual fact, if we look at privacy from any angle, Decred has pretty much got it covered. And I'll highlight a few points here. So the first one, as we've talked in this stream loads, was downloading and maintaining the software. A lot, and that's kind of how you connect to the blockchain and how you connect to peers as well. And in my views, Decred does it better than any other blockchain. The way that our SPV works, the way that our full nodes work, connecting to peers from your peer is absolutely simple, and maintaining the software, downloading the software is flawless. So in terms of privacy and security, those things Decred come out on top of. The next bit was the anonymity aspects of it. So whether sorry, not anonymity, the actual privacy aspects of it. So whether you can send, receive, and do amount privacy. And it turned out that a lot of the wallets, and Edge was on there, and there was a Thor chain wallet and a few others. They actually weren't reusing send and receive. Sorry, they were reusing send and receive addresses. And one thing I was able to say there is, actual fact, when you use Decrediton, or most of Decred's wallet infrastructure, the sending address is always new. It's always a different one. It's never reusing, and the receiving address is always new, never reusing. Unless you physically specify that you want to reuse those, you'll always get a new one. Which so we had top marks there, and obviously our mixing technology was just absolutely phenomenal. But then they've started talking about things like anonymity, which was earning, mining, staking, getting tips and things like that. And Decred come out really well on that one as well. Then obviously DEX trading, and obviously privacy communications. Really, really worth having a little look at, actually. But in all of those conversations, actually Decred come out top notch. So yeah, hopefully we'll be on there at some point in November as well, which would be good. And that was pretty much everything I wanted to say. I just wanted to put that in there just so that people know we are doing lots and lots of outreach for Decred on lots of these different platforms. Some that you don't see, and I'll try and share more as I do them and as Exodus does them. Anything else you've done this month, Exodus, that we haven't already talked about?
No, I'd say that's about it. Um, yeah, just waiting on a new DEX release. I would say I believe they're adding MEXC for arbitrage. And I think they added Coinbase for arbitrage, even though I don't I don't know if that will be used. Um, what else
Well,
was
Coinbase would
there?
be useful for USDC Polygon, wouldn't it? And Base.
Yeah, but yeah, that's about it. Just I definitely should look into getting the node count up. Maybe I might run a few more myself. It's pretty easy. But
Well,
yeah,
maybe
that's
this
about
is
it for
something we
me.
need to talk about, the strategies of how do we get people to do that. Even if it is a little bit of an incentive, say, hey, here's $20 a month to run a node for a few months. See if we can get people
That's
just
that's
started.
overkill. Well, I was
Yeah,
talking with I
yeah.
was talking and we were thinking of maybe doing a lottery, like randomly picking a node every month or every week and giving a reward in Decred, which could be fun. The problem is it's like the person has to prove they own the node, which isn't too hard, but there's ways to kind of fake it. But that would be, I mean, that's something we could run, a lottery to just a random node. So hey, you run a node, you could be part of the lottery.
Yeah, even if we're just covering the fees for running it, just so it's a null event for them, just to get it up and going, and do a tutorial on top of that and be part of the vanguard and get paid that way as well. That's the benefit of Decred. We have all of these mechanisms that we can deploy. It doesn't have to cost us the earth either, but I think sometimes community members like to know that they're appreciated, and earning the coin that you're passionate about. There's no better way. If you're a coin holder, and I remember the first time I ever got a Decred tip, I was over the moon. Someone tipped me like I think it was 10 Decred DTR for my first ever tip, and I was over the moon. I was like, you know what, this is absolutely amazing. So yeah, absolutely what we should be doing. And especially since those are areas that we desperately need, liquidity, nodes, we need these things. So, we'll get it. We can bootstrap it if you like, or we can just kind of start getting it going. Exodus, it's always a pleasure. Do you want to have the last word?
Hey, yeah, like we've all seen what just happened with Zcash. Maybe Decred's next. Maybe it's layer one Dino season. Because hey, Decred employs some pretty interesting privacy. It has basically the world's most advanced mixnet for coin mixing, and the supply remains audible. That's what we've been talking about lately. That's the power there. Is you don't have to worry about inflation bugs, which are especially important because of our governance system. If there was an inflation bug, it would really, really be problematic for Decred. But yeah, thanks for the conversation.
As always, Exodus, it's great talking to you. I love batting these ideas around. Guys in the audience, if you ever want to join the stream, you're always welcome. And it'd be great to hear from new Decred members getting involved. Remember, you can get involved. This isn't a static project. Anyone can get involved. That's what the Treasury's for, especially if you can offer new things. Exodus, always a pleasure. Are we doing a Twitter space over the next week, 2 weeks, anything like that?
Yeah, we can do a Twitter space. Maybe we can do another cake wallet giveaway. Those are usually pretty fun.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Let's give some Decred away. Let's get you guys incentivized